You're watching the Coaches Roundtable on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Welcome to Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, WPIAL Executive Director Amy Scheuneman. Amy, thanks for taking time to be with us. When we last talked, we did a spotlight show with you last August. COVID was started, but did you have any idea what you were getting into and navigating through the fall sports system in COVID-19?
I don't think anyone had an idea what we were getting into. And, the navigation piece is a day by day and certainly a team effort from all of our schools. So it took a lot of effort on a lot of people's behalf to make it happen. But we are so grateful and thankful that we were able to get through that fall season as successfully as we did.
And Amy, looking back, I think you guys did a great job navigating through COVID with the games. There were a number of teams that couldn't play certain weeks. Then you got through the playoffs. It was a shortened playoffs system. A lot of us here liked it because you had mostly winning teams involved in the playoffs, and everything was finished at the state level around Thanksgiving. What did you learn from last year, and how you dealt with all of that will serve you in the future?
I think it's the flexibility that we were able to obtain, and just having the schools help out in regards to hosting all of those events, and knowing that they have a little bit more knowledge now of what goes behind the scenes, and can appreciate if we ever get back to normal, what it takes to host events, because it's not easy. And so that was something I think that the schools will benefit from, knowing going forward that it's a real privilege to go to somebody else's facility. They're really putting an effort into creating a great atmosphere, providing that event, and doing the legwork in hosting. So that was something. Obviously, we have challenges in front of us in other regards, but by and large, we take things day by day and try to make the best decisions we can.
I know there's been some discussion at the state level about starting early the fall sports. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it should be fair and consistent across the sports. If they're going to start early for football, then they need to look at the other sports as well, and trying to be consistent in how they approach that. Again, extending the season is one thing. I'm not necessarily in favor of reducing our qualifying playoffs and how we go into the state tournament, but again, that would all have to be laid out on a schematic of how they plan to do that, or if they're going to do that. But I think giving kids the opportunity at the local level is important, because we don't want to shorten the season for the majority, for the minority that might make it to the state championship.
Amy, let's shift over to basketball. You starting with the open playoff systems started last night. What was the thinking of the committee and yourself about opening it up to everyone who wanted to participate in the playoffs?
The theory behind that was, if you look back to when we started winter sports, there was the mask mandate that recently came into play, and there were schools that were choosing to only play masked schools. There was a shutdown of 3 weeks. There was, complications and quarantines with teams themselves. So we knew that it was not going to be possible to identify section champions or having that same qualification standard as we've had in the past. So we had to come up with a way that we could facilitate a tournament in a fair manner. So looking at the number of schools in each classification, we were able to offer, if everybody decided to participate in that tournament, that we would be able to offer that with one additional round. So felt that was the best and fairest way to move forward. And so that's how we did it. And it did add just those 2 more days. So starting tonight actually is our first round of 16. And then we'll conclude there on March 15th with the traditional bracketing.
You mentioned the mask rule. Can you clarify for us something? I noticed during the season, I'd pick up a paper and look, and some teams, girls or boys, the mask was underneath their chin. Some had it, wearing it the way you're supposed to. Some didn't have any at all. And of course, no mask for wrestling or football. So there seemed to be an inconsistency there, and it didn't seem like you were willing to, or the WPIAL or officials, to enforce it during the games.
As you just said, it's very difficult to enforce something in a level at that regard, because you have schools that are choosing to mandate that their athletes wear them. You have other schools that are using the exceptions that are listed in the mandate, that they felt that either it was a medical concern or safety concern, and school entities have the ability to identify that. So from that regard, we cannot overstep, what a school district feels is most important for their student athletes. So there were some schools that wouldn't play other schools that weren't masked. And then you have masked schools that the athletes, while competing, pulled them down. So again, a little, as you mentioned, inconsistencies there, or in general, it was just difficult to have everybody on the same page in any regard with the masking situation. So we left it up to the schools and the teams to appropriately incorporate what they felt was important. Once we got into the playoffs, we did say that schools had to agree to play schools with varying mask policies. That was how we were able to have a tournament for everybody involved. So if school A wants to wear masks, that's certainly fine. But if school B is exercising one of those exemptions, that's okay too. They just have to be willing to play the other schools. So that's how we are. It's been a mess from the beginning, as you had mentioned, and everyone's trying to do their best to create a safe environment. But at the end of the day, it's difficult to keep a mask up while playing. It's difficult to breathe with it on. So the schools are doing what they feel is best, and we just want to make sure that we're providing an opportunity for them to continue to participate.
Amy, did I hear correctly that the PIAA will enforce the mask rule during basketball playoffs at the state level?
They have a similar form that we already use, where they're going to make a school identify individual players who would, in their opinion, be meeting those exemptions for wearing masks. And this is, again, only during active competition. This is not, going in and out of facilities and whatnot. This is only on the competition surface, where they would be not wearing a mask. So a school can still identify those student athletes on the PIA form, saying that they are either medically exempt and or have a school exemption from a safety standpoint. So they're requiring it, same as we are, but they are also allowing for the schools to exercise some of those exemptions.
Amy, how about the attendance requirement? That things change day by day now. Things seem to be opening up again throughout the state. The Pens are going to have fans in for the game tonight. You mentioned something about a capacity requirement of at least 700 to accommodate a minimum, I think, of 70. So I'm trying to get some understanding here. Let's say Butler and Newcastle, they have big gyms, they hold 2,000. Can they have what now? Can they have 400 fans for their games, or what are the restrictions?
Again, it goes back to the state's restrictions would be 15%. So whatever the 15% of maximum occupancy of those gyms, the schools can offer that many. We have the formula where you start with your total attendance minus your team allowances, minus your workers, minus your officials and media and so forth. And then whatever's left at the end of the day has to be split between the home team and the away team to purchase tickets. So that formula is still going to stay the same. It's just that number might increase due to the higher percentage now. It also may offer some of those smaller gyms the ability to host, as you mentioned, having 70 people at a minimum in their gym. If they can effectively host a game with the 15% offering 70 people, then they would then have the opportunity to host as well.
So it's possible if a higher ranked team doesn't meet that 700 capacity, that game could be switched to an alternative site?
Yes, we have the process in place where it would first be offered to the higher seed, and then it would move to the lower seed. And then if neither school could host, then we would find a neutral site. And that, again, is a cost-saving benefit to having a home site be the host school, so that they would then be responsible for any rental charges, custodial maintenance, and things of that nature, where we would be able to at least meet expenses based on the very limited capacity that would be in the gym from a spectator standpoint.
Amy, I'd like to finish our interview talking about a situation that occurred with Mount Lebanon coach Joey David. I've watched him over the years. He's an outstanding coach. He's always held himself, comported himself as a pro on the sidelines. But he had an incident there with Quaker Valley where he objected to one official there that he's had some conflict with over the years. I'm trying to understand, do not the coaches know ahead of time who the officials are going to be? And if that's the case, why didn't he make his protest before he went to Quaker Valley?
No, the coaches do not always know, and most times they don't know who the officials are going to be on any given night. They're assigned by the home school through an assigner, typically. So if a visiting school shows up, they wouldn't have that knowledge ahead of time. That particular situation, obviously, we wanted to know the facts, and we had to bring everybody in. We didn't want it to be a hearsay situation or he said, she said. We wanted to hear from all parties involved of how and why events transpired the way they did. And I think at the end of the day, we found out the truth, which was important to make sure that, we'll say, we knew that things were done in an appropriate fashion in that regard.
Amy, thank you once again. You have a difficult job. You guys are doing a great job of getting these kids out there playing. And let's hope everything runs smoothly here through the basketball playoffs.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be right back with Alan George. I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left by the Tiger Albert Campman. Guys, always good to have Amy Scheuneman on. You know, that job as being executive director of the WPIAL is now a 24/7 job.
I think that in today's society, there's more than just games.
Always something.
Geez, there's something coming up all the time that parents are complaining about, coaches are complaining about, administrations, new rules. It's a job that you need more than one lady running for sure.
And as I told her, I think they did a tremendous job of running the playoffs last year in the fall sports and continuing here in the very difficult getting through this basketball season. And speaking of basketball, let's go to our top scorers as we head into the playoffs this week. Levi Orton of AC Valley, 33-28. Nathan Waltman of Karn City, 32. Mahali Stefanos of Mars, 25. Connor Lysey of Seneca Valley, 24-20. Cole Brooks of Seneca Valley, 24. Carter Vogel of Union, Reimersburg, 23. Michael Wells of Newcastle, 22. Isaiah Boyce of Newcastle, 22. Caden Rainey of Union, Reimersburg, 21. Ryan Lang of Knox, 21. For the girls, Ashlyn Pry of Montauk, 25 points and 15 rebounds in a game. Ava Black of Mars, 24. Malena Desort of Freeport, 23. Neva Ewing of Knock, 22. And for the Knock Knights, Lady Knights, that was their first game in a month for the 8-1 Lady Knights. In wrestling, WPIAL Championships AAA, Class 106 gold medal for Tyler Chappell of Seneca Valley. 120 class gold, Dylan Coy, of North Allegheny. 132 gold, Dylan Chappell of Seneca Valley. That was his third gold medal. 152 class gold medal, Alejandro Herrera Rondon. That was his third medal for Seneca Valley. And 160 class gold, his third, Cole Spencer of Pine Richland. 189 gold, Justin Hart of Hampton. And Butler's Cooper Baxter, he took third in the 189-pound class. So we have all the playoffs going on at this time. Swimming, diving championships. 2A girls, North Catholic sophomore Maggie Foley. She won her second straight WPIAL diving title. 3A girls, first place, Christina Shy of North Allegheny. Second place, Maya Ennis of North Allegheny. Third place, Zoe Kai of North Allegheny. And fourth place, Ashley Felitsky of Seneca Valley. And boys 2A, third place, Coda Carslaw of Hampton. And boys 3A, second place, Will Shank of North Allegheny. Third place, Trevor Elliott of Seneca Valley. And fifth place, Jeremiah Laslavic of Seneca Valley. And in bowling, the WPIAL Bowling Championship, taking second place, Mark Livingston of Freeport. And in college basketball, you guys will remember him, what a shooter he was for the Tornado. Joel Stutz has led Geneva to a 5-1 start. He had 25 points against Chatham. He averages 14.8 points per game. Recruiting news, Slippery Rock High School javelin thrower Mary Ackerman, she has committed to Oregon State, her career best 147 feet. They didn't have the state playoffs last year, but in her sophomore year, she earned a silver medal.
I'm told that's where you go if you want to throw the javelin seriously, Oregon State.
Is that right?
That's what I heard, Pac-12.
Boy, how many athletes we have out there from this area competing. And Knock High School linebacker Tyler Butterball, he is committed to Mercyhurst. And here's a milestone achievement. Longtime football and basketball official Art Montleone celebrated his 50 year in officiating. Art is considered in a survey to be the second best official all time in the state of Pennsylvania. Everyone else is tied for first. And Art's been around a long time. George, he got to his first game.
Bill Bourne.
Bill Bourne, a horse and buggy.
Yeah,
I think it was.
They had to get up and get the basketball after every hoop.
And you know, he's used the same pair of Converse high tops officiating for the whole 50 years. Here's something I didn't know. He's never called a foul. And I asked the coach, how could that be? He said, he's never been in position to call one.
Tough.
So, Art, all joking aside, congratulations on a great career.
Yeah,
You
long time
deserve
to
it.
be out there running around.
50 years, and he's still doing it.
Absolutely.
Our stories of the week, the Steelers, Ben to return, according to Steelers president Art Rooney II. He said, he told Ben, we want you back. And Ben is committed to coming back, he said, to help us win a championship. What do you guys think about this?
I think that this will be his last year. I'm just thinking he's putting his time in. I don't see the team being real good. I think the team will be average at best. I don't know what his thinking is. I've thought long and hard what can be going through his mind. I think he should be done, but he came back, and we'll see how he does.
Ben's agent, Ryan Tollner, has indicated that Ben will not be taking any kind of a pay cut. How are the Steelers going to handle this? Because he counts $41.25 million against the cap.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be tough for everybody else to get some money. And, I'll say it again. The Steeler fans don't want to hear it, but 2 playoff wins in 10 years isn't exactly earning your money.
And here's the question you have to ask. Do the Steelers, do they or do they not, then, by this decision, have any confidence that Mason Rudolph is the heir apparent?
I don't have any confidence in him, so I don't know what their confidence is. I think he's an average Joe and in the lower middle of the pack. I think the objective of them is to try to get a quarterback in the first 2 rounds that they can make.
Like this year.
Yes, this year.
I don't see that happening this year with all the holes they have to plug along the offensive line. They need another blocking tight end, running back, and they're getting old in some aspects on their defensive side with their corners, and they need some backup on the defensive line. So I don't know about who's going to be left. They picked, the number
Well, that's the key.
24th, 18 or
No, what
24.
you said, I'd trade up. I don't think you can win in the NFL. No chance. You can win with bad offensive tackles. You can win with bad cornerbacks. You have no chance winning in the NFL without a good quarterback. So I'd trade up to get one. And if you can't trade up, I'd go Eddie's route. Don't bother getting one.
The other thing, you know a lot about the little things in the game. This Matt Canada, known to be a move the quarterback guy.
Not a move the quarterback guy, not at all.
Okay, what's Ben doing?
He brings a lot of eye candy.
Yeah, okay.
He doesn't move the quarterback
So
at all.
it won't be a big deal for
No,
Ben?
no.
No, it won't be. The issue will be Ben ran the offense before under Randy Fichtner. Now, what's Canada going to do? He knows maybe this will be Ben's last year. He has to be able to show that this is going to be his offense. He wants to run it his way. I'm sure there's going to be some conflict somewhere there along the line.
that was Ben's offense, not Fichtner.
I don't think there's any conflict really, because Canada runs a lot like Fichtner. Does a lot of short passes, puts a lot of guys in motion, uses the wide receivers as running backs.
He was at Pitt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was at
He's been
Pitt.
a lot of places. See, that's what he does.
Didn't he go
LSU.
to LSU for a year?
Yeah.
And then here's the other thing. You look at the statistics. That when you go to all the top-rated quarterbacks, Ben had the lowest average per pass attempt, 6 yards per pass attempt.
Remember, you watched the games. That's the way they played. They played that way.
And he threw.
They threw the ball. They got it out of his hand really quickly. That's the way they played. Remember, they were 12-0 at the time. I mean, it's like they were.
I think fatigue caught up with him at the end of the year. Those last 7 games, 10 interceptions, a passer rating of over 90 only 1 time.
And they paid a penalty for the Ravens having COVID. They stuck them They
Right.
stuck Pittsburgh with that 3 games in so many days thing. That started it.
Right, and I've said this on the show before, I don't think it's their offense. Their offense was in the top 10. Their defense did not get a turnover the last 7 games. Their defense was weak. Their defense is really weak.
And you saw what the Browns did against them, how they trapped them and shut J.J. Watt. He disappeared from the game. Hayward disappeared.
Yes.
Tuitt disappeared.
Their defense is weak. That's what
And that's the Browns with a patched up offensive line.
everybody talks about their offense. Their offense putting up points up. Their
Well,
defense is weak.
a lot of decisions that they're going to have to make here in the offseason.
Now,
and you
Rudy
can't-
coming in like that, does he normally do that, or does he normally?
No.
He's known for staying out,
Right.
isn't he?
No,
I
I'm
think
not.
it's like his stepkid or something. You know what I mean? Like he likes him so much, it gets in the way.
I think I think besides that is what it is said. If you don't have a quarterback, you have no chance. They don't like. I don't think they like Rudolph. I mean, I don't think they like him at all.
But Colbert spoke highly of him the week
I don't think
before
what
in
you're
the
going to say. What are you
confidence.
going to say? We don't like him.
I made a
He
mistake.
stinks.
He stinks.
Yeah.
Well, then the other thing, you're going to have him for his 4th year. He's going to sit there. You're never going to find out if he could play a 16-game schedule. Then you're going to try and draft a quarterback. And if you're 9-7 or 8-8 again, you're right back where you are this year.
Yep, that could happen.
Hey, other quarterback news, Desean Watson. He's told Houston he will not play another game for them. You know, big contracts, big problems. My question is, what are they waiting for? He's told them he's not going to play. You got all this money tied up in him.
They met
When are
last
you going to
week.
trade him?
Well, last week he met by Skype with the new guy, but told him the same way. He said, "I'm glad you got the job, but I'm not playing."
So the Jets are interested, the Raiders are interested, and Washington's interested. What if you wait until April, a week before the draft, you lose a lot of your leverage in trading him.
My guess is they've already lost their leverage. when
He's not playing.
When he's not playing, the other teams are saying, "We'll give you a lot less." If you're not, you're on. He put
Yeah,
them
we're
in
not
a
gonna
bad
give you two
position.
number
He
ones.
put them in a bad position.
Would he do without $25 million? Boy, that's a tough call.
Yeah.
It sounds good
You
now
know-
because they're not playing.
But it's the owners and the teams are in a conundrum here. They want these big star quarterbacks. They give them these big contracts, and then once they give them the contracts, the leverage all goes over to the quarterbacks, just like Wentz had it.
And also, you can't pay the other players. That's
You
the
can't-
big part.
And
That's the
I
big
I
thing.
caught up with New England down through the years.
Oh, it started with the Ravens.
Yeah.
With Flacco.
Let's turn to golf. Tiger Woods, serious accident, rolls his SUV over and suffers fractures to his leg and ankle. Had a rod and pins inserted. The rehab estimated is 6 months to maybe a year. At age 45, guys, does he ever hit the tour again?
That's a great question. I'm going to say because he's Tiger Woods, he'll play again. I don't think he'll ever play as well as he could have. I think his years of winning is done.
He's just still dealing with the back issue
Right.
and questions whether he was going to be able to golf in the Masters. It was ruled purely an accident. He swerved off the road, lost control of the vehicle, wasn't paying attention. Can happen to a lot of people. Just hope he has a full recovery. Forget about golf, his ability to be able to walk again.
One thing I have noticed that as he has got older, he's got wiser in how he treats people. The tour honored him by wearing their shirts. Before, they would never thought about him. They didn't like him that much. Now at least he's likable a little bit now. So all these things happening has made him change a little bit how he treats other people.
Well, even if he comes back, I think they'd like to have him back because the TV ratings go up when he's there, and even he can make only golf. And he never golfs in every event to begin with, so he may only be in a situation in the future where he appears in maybe 3 or 4 a year, the big ones.
And he must
That's
play in
it.
the majors.
In the
And
majors,
he
and
says
that's
it.
it.
He says it straight out. He gets ready only for the majors. My son-in-law, we have another good friend. They only turn the TV on when he plays.
That's true. That's true of a lot of people. Hey, breaking news, hockey. They're going to allow 2,300 fans in for the Pens game against the Flyers. They're finally opening things up. The Pens 11-8-1, fifth place in the East Division, going head-to-head against the Flyers. They are several points behind the Flyers. They lost to the Islanders 2-0. The first time they've been shut out by the Islanders in over 30 years. So the Pens are up. They're down. They had some injuries. Zucker's been injured, replaced by Zach Alston Reese. And when you look around the National Hockey League, guys, who's still there? The defending champs, Tampa Bay. 14-4-1, the leading the Central, and Toronto with the best record, 16-4.
Yeah, Toronto has an offensive juggernaut. They can really score goals. I don't know if they can win a championship, but all sports have changed, Eddie. It used to be defense won, now offense wins. So right now I'm picking Toronto because they can really score.
Let's move on to college basketball. Pitt drops their fifth straight 65-62 to North Carolina State. Their eighth loss in the last 9 games. They're 9-10, 5-9 ACC with 2 games left. The last 3 years in the late season, Pitt has gone 6-24, but that is the least of their problems. Guys, their 2018 recruiting class that was ranked 35th in the country is now gone, starting with Trey McGowan, who left last year. And when I interviewed Jerry DePaula last week, I asked him about Xavier Johnson, hearing rumors he might leave. The next day, transfer portal. And the day after that, Audice Toney, he's gone. What's happening at Pitt? And no recruits for this year or next year. 98 of the 100 top recruits in this country have already signed.
I think that last comment you made is the big one. No recruits coming in. I've never heard of that before. 0 recruits. You know, Pitt is big time basketball, ACC, and you have no recruits. I can't grasp
For 2
that.
years now.
Yes.
And the other thing too, not only the 24 losses in February for 3 years, normally when that portal's full, we know it. It's full in football, it's full in basketball. But usually the disgruntled guys aren't the leading scorers.
Yeah, they lose 3, their top 3 leading scorers. Let me ask you, and I'm not putting this on Jeff Cape all the time, but is he recruiting the wrong players? And then again, how do you know what you're getting when you recruit anymore these days?
You don't. What takes care of it, as I say it all the time, winning takes care of it. If they win games, people stay. You lose, and you start pointing fingers. It's been like that forever, but now it's worse than ever right now. People just leave when things aren't going good. They take off.
But the big factor is you have the top 100 recruits in the country. 98 of them are committed. So now, if they're going to recruit anyone, you know, you're going to deal with the 2 stars and maybe the 3
No,
stars.
they're going portal.
They're going to recruit the
There's
portal.
there's no high school coming in. When you see the recruits coming, you're going to see 5 transfers
Yeah.
from.
And they're getting portals.
They have
Can you survive your program
No,
by
not
relying
forever.
on
I don't
transfer
like it.
portal?
But this year they're going to have to.
For a
He
1-year
doesn't
gap.
have 3 years to build.
No. All right. Hey, Major League Baseball, Sports Illustrated article. You know, someone said there's no crying in baseball, but there are conspiracies in baseball. This is the March 1st issue. A baseball insider, now known as Deep Throat, says the ball has been altered. The core of it has been altered to increase the distance, and now they're going to alter it again. A lot of this information, I'm not getting into this, by an astrophysicist who explains it in details that I'm not interested in going into. But are we surprised?
We're Deep Throat. We said it 2 years ago. We said there's something has to be, because guys who hit 8 home runs are hitting 30 home runs. The baseball was juiced.
And
I saw balls flying out to the opposite field with guys who really don't hit.
That's-
It's amazing.
No hit and runs, no
that's out,
steal,
that's
all
out.
of the
Yeah, that's
out.
and the hypocrisy going back to Bud Selig in the 90s when he turned his back on the steroids because of the home run races. He gets in the Hall of Fame, but all the players involved in the home run race who were on the steroids, they're shut out.
LaRusso.
They're the ones that are shut out.
LaRusso's in.
Same thing. That's what goes on in baseball, and now they're worried because the TV ratings are down, and the attendance is down as to what they're going to do. So, are they going to go back in the baseball the way it was? I don't think so. That's a story for another time. Thanks for joining us. We've run out of time. We'll see you next week.